Welcome to this presentation of the Rotary Club of North Bethesda, Maryland, USA. Our club was established in 1974. We meet every Friday morning at 7:45 a.m., and we often invite guest speakers to give presentations on all kinds of interesting subjects. Please contact us through our website at nbrotary.org. And thanks for watching.
I just want to take a minute to actually present the award, and then you can tell us about the company, okay? Wendi? Mayorga Organics, based in Rockville, Maryland, embodies the spirit of Rotary. At Rotary, we use the four-way test in our business dealings. We ask, is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Does it promote goodwill? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Mayorga Organics grew into an international company by telling the farmers and the customers the truth about market forces, the process of production, and how they maintain quality. They are dedicated to being fair to the farmers who produce our coffee and giving them a fair price for their labor. Mayorga Organics has promoted goodwill, not only in their business model of non-exploitation, but by many generous corporate acts, including donating $145,000 to build homes in Nicaragua that were destroyed by floods, and donating food and water to over 700 families in Honduras. They are regular donors to local food banks in Montgomery County, and they donate time to help social enterprise groups in Tennessee that create jobs and provide mentorships in coffee roasting and the retail business. They've developed a scholarship program that awards 10 scholarships a year, each valued at $5,000. Mayorga has also donated prizes for our club's fundraising events. North Bethesda Rotary is awarding Mayorga the first North Bethesda Business of the Year Award for their mission and their success. We wish them continued growth and prosperity. Congratulations to Mayorga, and here is your plaque. Thank you, the plaque, and it will be delivered to you, but since we're virtual, we're just showing it. So, Wendi, without further introduction, just to know that you are a long-term right-hand person at Mayorga, can you fill us in?
Yep, so, Martin would have liked to be here. I do have to admit, our coordinating of schedules sometimes is a little bit difficult. He is in a much different time zone right now, so it's very, very early for him, even though he doesn't sleep much because he is just constantly working on the company. And he is a much better speaker and has a lot more knowledge than I do. So, but I'll do my best to fill his shoes for you guys. And we are truly touched that you thought of Mayorga and that other people are seeing what we're doing, because we don't advertise what we do. We're not out there really marketing ourselves, which is something that we do tell Martin we need to do. We need to do more of, like, people need to know what it is that he's actually out there doing. But he feels like it's just disingenuous when you market yourself on the good that you're doing instead of just doing good. But our company was built with a purpose. And it seems like a very lofty purpose, but we think that when it comes to missions for companies, that you should, if you're working to do good in the world, then it should be a lofty purpose. And we hope that someday we do reach it and put ourselves out of business. But we work with the goal of eliminating systemic poverty throughout Latin America. And we do this through the difference in the way that we do our supply chain. So we work direct with our consumers, but we work direct with our farmers, which is a big difference. We cut out all of the middlemen that really don't add value within the business transactions and try to make the supply chain a much more equitable experience. So we work with our farmers as actual partners and not as commodities themselves, which I think a lot of humanity gets lost, particularly in commodity exchanges, and particularly within the coffee industry itself. So yeah, all the things that Linda said are definitely true. When the hurricane happened in Nicaragua, the last quarter of our sales, all profits went to actually to rebuilding homes, and to getting people food and getting people temporary shelters while we were rebuilding the homes. So it's not something that it was just like kind of like a PR thing. Like, again, we didn't, Martin really didn't advertise it. We went out in our newsletters and on our social media, so it was there for anybody to see it if they wanted to, but it was something that we just did because it was the right thing to do. So I have worked with the company now for about 5 years. I am currently our customer experience manager. So anything that touches our customers is of a concern to me. And I got that position because of the fact that I do love our company and really invest in the mission that we have. So anything that is going to give our customers a better experience has always been something that's kind of been at the forefront. And it's a fantastic company to work for. So I really appreciate that other people see what I see in the company as well. So this means quite a great deal that you guys were able that recognize this as well. So I thank you personally for this award. And yeah, other things that you guys would want to know in general that are of interest to the Rotary Club in regards to our business model or anything like that, I'm really happy to take any kind of questions or anything from anyone.
Can you explain how your system works? How you cut out the middleman? How do you actually do that?
Yeah, so Martin actually started, he had a cigar company way back when he was a youngster, and he did pretty well, and he worked with tobacco growers in Nicaragua. And during that time, he had a family friend that came to him and said, hey, I have a coffee farm. I'm thinking of selling it because I just can't access the market. I can't access the US market. And the way that it works for smaller farmers is you will harvest your coffee, you bag it up, and very simplified version, basically you would like go put it by the mailbox and wait for a coyote to come by, pick it up, and they pay you like cents on the dollar for it. And then they take it off to a mill and then and sell it to them. And they, it goes on and on from there and exchanges a lot of hands. But access for a smaller farmer to the US market where you actually get paid for what your labor is worth is very difficult. So when Martin saw this, he saw that, one, roasters were getting coffee that they were getting told a story about that had come from all sorts of different sources and, passed all kinds of hands, and that the farmers were not getting what they were putting into the product because it's very labor intensive. And this is just coffee in general. We're not even talking about organic coffee at this point. It's very labor intensive. For the most part, operations outside of large farms in Brazil, all the harvesting is done by hand. It's very high elevations, it's on these mountainsides. It's not easy work. You have to be able to recognize which cherries are ripe and which ones are not. So when he saw that, well, I can just go sell it directly to the roasters themselves. Like, we don't need all these intermediaries that are doing all this stuff. So that's what he kind of just started doing. And it was basically just him and in a van and driving around making these deals. And then he said, well, I'm going to roast it too. And then it kind of just like snowballed from there. And then in 2016 is when we fully went organic, because it kind of clicked for him that he was, talking to one of the farmers on their farm and saw that they were getting ready to go out to spray, and they were putting on these like spacesuits and spraying on this land because the chemicals are very caustic. So they had to, protect themselves. And then 20 feet away, the children were playing because they're working the land that they live on. And he said, this doesn't make any sense. And since they're on top of a hill, all those chemicals kind of, go downstream into the villages below. And he said, this is something we need to make a change on. So that's something that we work really towards also, is cutting out the red tape that a lot of farmers encounter in terms of getting those certifications. So we do help farmers pay for to get their organic certifications. We have an agronomist that works on the ground that helps them to say, okay, hey, what else can you grow instead of in addition to coffee? because it's not, it's like, again, it's very labor intensive, and there's not a lot of rewards that come from it because it is traded on the stock market like a commodity. The labor that they're putting into it, the value is being determined by people thousands and thousands of miles away that have nothing to do with it. So it's kind of a risky game. So we do a lot of things to help them navigate that process, and to just understand things that are, outside of, living their lives. That's where our chia program came into play. We started our chia program because there had been a coffee rust in throughout Central America that wiped out a huge portion of organic coffee. And the way that we do business is that we will sign contracts directly with the farmers ahead of time before the harvest is even ready on what they project that they'll have for us. And they can use these contracts and our name to get much better interest rates from banks and things like that. So we're seeing things like where they would normally get a 22% interest rate by using our contracts and our name as their backing, they're now getting 6% loans and things like that, so they can reinvest in their farm and get the things that they need for it. So when the coffee rust came, all the coffee went away, and the farmers came to us and said, hey, all that coffee you bought from us last year ahead of time? Yeah, it doesn't exist. So instead of pulling our loans, Martin ate the cost and said, okay, well, what else can we do to get you guys to pay your other creditors who aren't going to eat the cost and eat the loss? And that's where our chia program was born, because we found that chia it grows at different altitudes, and it can be harvested, multiple times. And it's a really great companion crop because it's actually nitrogen fixing. So it puts elements back into the soil that other products consume. So we operate in a very different way, in that we are very concerned about the people that we're working with, on them staying in business, and more so than like our company is like, obviously we're a business and we want to make money, we want to be successful, because the more successful that we are, the more successful that our farming partners can be, and the more value we can bring to our consumers on the other end of the table as well. So in the traditional coffee, go ahead.
Yeah, how do you sell your products here? Who are the vendors in this country? Small businesses or the large corporations?
The company, the farmers that we purchase from, or
That
Yeah,
we
so
sell
that
to.
in this country.
that we sell to in this country.
Who
So
distributes?
So we distribute. So we don't. There's one distributor to work with, just because we for Giant, because you have to go through with the traditional grocery stores. So that's why you don't see us in a lot of traditional grocery stores, because we don't really go the distribution route. We like to do direct to consumer. So that's our really big focus this year, is that direct to consumer component, because that's where the most value is. We can really control the brand, and we can really control the pricing and what the end consumer actually gets. So you'll see us in like Greenbelt Co-op, Bethesda Co-op, Common Market, smaller local stores. We have a great partnership with Mom's Organic Market. They use our greens to roast their own coffees. So, and then you'll see us in Whole Foods, because they have a direct sell model.
Yeah, you're in Costco too. You're in Costco.
And we're in Costco. So Costco was one of our biggest, our first adapters. And it was, we acknowledged that they definitely helped us, gave us that huge bump that we needed to get to grow as quickly as we did. And that was all Martin hustling there. That was, he went there, he pitched to them, and, they said, okay, we'll deliver us X. And he gave them Z. Like he went above and beyond what they expected when, they gave us a shot, and they said, okay, you can have a road show, which is, you guys have seen those where they set up and it's just like a temporary sampling event type of thing. They do it with, jewelry and furniture and food and all kinds of cool stuff. And they told him, okay, you need to make X amount of money. And he thought that was per day. They meant for the week. So every day his goal was to make X amount of money. So when he was done, they're like, wow, we've never seen anybody hustle like that before. And we've never seen a coffee product sell like that before. Ron, I think I saw your hand up.
Yes, is there any manufacturing done on East Goody, or is it all roasted out of the country and then brought in here?
No, we bring in all of our coffee raw. So it comes in green, it comes in big burlap sacks. And you guys, once, things, calm back down again out there, I would be happy to set up a tour for you guys if you were able to come in, and so you can actually see how the operations work.
Love to see that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I was pretty amazed. I was not a coffee person when I came to the company. I came from the tea industry, and when there's a lot of similarities, but I've definitely learned to love it, and I am definitely a coffee person now. I just spent 3 months in Colorado with my family, and I told the team back home, I'm like, please send me an emergency package, overnight it. All I have is folders out here. So it was
Wendi.
Ron told me that the plant that you use is a converted printing plant from Smith Lithograph.
Yeah, I've heard someone else told me, like, when I was doing a demo somewhere, that it used to be a machine shop too. And I've heard a lot of things, but the printing one is the one that's most reliable that I've heard. I've never actually looked up the history of the building, which I guess I should do at some point.
Can you talk about how complicated it was to convert it from? Did you find old cans of ink lying around?
No, so I wasn't there at the very beginning, but I've seen the pictures, and it was pretty cleared out. So I think that the landlords did a pretty good job clearing it out, but it was pretty cool how it transformed.
You mentioned that the beans come in burlap sacks. How physically do they get from the farmer to Rockville?
Yeah, so it depends on the farm, the size of the farm, and a lot of the farms that we work with are very small, so they do band together and create cooperatives. So that way, one farmer might only produce like maybe a half a burlap, maybe a full burlap, but with all of them together, they can produce a larger load. So those are the type of farmers that we work with, and it depends on the farm. So they will harvest them, and then they take them and put them through a depulping machine, which takes off, because the coffee is a fruit. It comes like in a little hard cherry, and you can eat the fruit too. It's called cascara. You can get it on our website and make tea from it. And then they will dry it, and either dry it on the ground or they'll dry it in raised beds, depending on what their process is, and how how things are worked out there, or they'll do a combination of both. And then again, depending on how big the farm is and what kind of equipment they have available to them, they'll either remove the parchment, because there is think of like a peanut, it's got a little shell on it, or they'll take it in the parchment and take it to a mill. And some cooperatives have are able to build a mill, and so they'll do it themselves. Other ones have to pay the mill to mill the coffee, basically. So they'll either take the parchment off and then sort it. So the coffee beans go onto like these shakers that have different sieves on them, and it basically vibrates and shakes the coffee through, and coffee partially is graded by size. So then the smaller beans are sorted out and put into together, and they go from there and are graded, and then put into burlap sacks and sewed up, and then put into storage areas, and then are shipped out from there. So we actually have our own we do our own shipping and receiving. So we because of the amount of coffee that we're purchasing, some of these growers, we purchase almost like 70-80% of the harvest. So we're able to fill up our own full container, and so they go on to the containers, go onto the ships, and then get shipped out to the Port of Baltimore, and then we truck them down to we did have separate storage facilities, but we just purchased a huge plot of real estate in Baltimore, and we have are consolidating all of our storage and warehouse into that area, and as we build it out, and then we'll eventually be moving all of our manufacturing operations up there too in the next probably like 3 years or so. So
So
it's,
you
Bruce has
really
a question.
control it from the time that the farmer harvests it until it gets here. It's in your, essentially either in your hands or directly coming into your hands. That's good.
or with people that we work with. Yeah, correct.
Can I ask a question, please?
I'm sorry, Bruce. Yes, please.
Okay, if we wanted to go and buy some of your coffee, did I understand that Whole Foods has this in store? So we went there and looked in the coffee area, we'd find it?
Correct. Yeah, just about all the Whole Foods in the DMV region have it. I think there might be a couple that don't, but off the top of my head, I can't recall which ones they would be. But for Rockville, the White Flint location definitely has this. They've been a big supporter of our product. Dawson's Market over in Rockville Town Center, they are a huge supporter, and they have quite a large selection. Whole Foods has a very minimal selection. Dawson's Market has a huge selection. And of course, you can also buy, through the website, but for supporting local businesses, I'd suggest checking out Dawson's Market or going out of this area. Greenbelt also has a pretty big selection of.
How about just here in North Bethesda? Right, I'm near the White Flint.
So White Flint should have plenty to choose
Whole
from.
Foods, yeah.
Yeah, the Whole Foods, White Flint.
The Giant carries it too.
They do, it's easy to miss us. We're usually on the very bottom of the shelf, tucked in a corner behind something. With traditional grocery stores, it's weird how it works. You have to actually pay for placement on the shelves, and then other companies can pay to bump you from your placement that you paid for. It's very strange when I learned about how that actually works, because when I was new to the company, I'm like, well, why aren't we in a better place? And I'd go and I started the company doing demos. And so I'd be in the store just making coffee and serving it. So I'd be like, well, why are we down here and this and that? And I learned all this interesting stuff.
That's a business in itself.
Yeah.
With the grocery stores and the placements. I mean, the real estate for the placement
On the shelf.
is a big business.
With that said, I'd like to thank you for coming, and we'll get the award, which I have on my desk right here. We'll bring it over to you all. If you let me know where you are, I can perhaps bring it to you today if you're in Rockville.
Eddie?
And we appreciate you coming to the club to to receive the award and give us a little bit of insight as to how the coffee was made, and it certainly was very interesting.
I would also like to mention Linda did a great job researching the company, and I am so pleased with this outcome, and congratulations to you and Martin, and this has been a real eye-opening experience. Continued success.
Right. Yeah. All right. So with that,
to make our eye bigger, we need tour with when
A tour, yeah. Can we stay on
how-
a few more minutes, Steve, in case?
you stay on as long as you like. People have to go. It's 8:30, and it's some people have to work, and so I'll have to myself leave. But you
Okay.
can stay on. Obviously, we're not closing the Zoom.
Okay, I just had a quick question myself. So I want to know, how many farms are you working with? And then I'm really interested in your title. What is customer experience? What are you actually doing?
Yeah, so the number of farms, I actually don't know the actual number at this point. I know in Nicaragua alone, we worked with over 200 farms last year to help them with their Chia organic certification. So there's at least 200 of them. I really don't know the number because it's a lot of real small farms. And like I said, a lot of them work together as cooperatives. So we're talking about people that have just really small, I had the opportunity and the honor of being sent to Peru a few years back to actually go to the farms and check them out, and it's amazing. It's muddy, there's a lot of bugs, some really gross spiders, and it's on the side of the mountain, and it's a lot of hard work. So it's I think people, it's true of all things that we consume. People don't realize the work that goes into getting that final product that's all pretty and polished on the shelf. So so I was really glad that I was able to have that experience and go check it out and
So
have those
Wendy,
very, very long days.
I would like to comment that I've
what's
been
the
drinking your
volume of-
coffee all morning here this morning.
Oh.
Wendy, what's the volume of the business in terms of dollar volume, revenue?
That is, unfortunately, I'm not a numbers person, so I wouldn't. They tell us, and we have these briefings, and we talk about all this stuff, and the numbers, I hear them, and they go right out of my head because it's just not. Thankfully, I'm not in charge of any of that. So that's, I have to get back to you on that because I don't want to give you something that's incorrect. But yeah, I'll have to circle back and I'll send Linda an email and recap anything that I don't have an answer to. I'm also going to try to see if I can get Martin to do a little video to send you guys for your next meeting so you can have, you know, straight from the horse's mouth sort of thing, or see if we can coordinate him when he's back in this time zone as well.
Yes, thank you.
And your job. What is
my job? I knew there's another question.
Is it the shelving? Is it the real estate?
So when it comes to the reason that we say customer experience is because if you're just saying customer service, you're already losing because it shouldn't be a reactionary thing. So what my job is to look to see what kind of errors or what kind of problems, what kind of roadblocks there could be for customers before they happen and remove them. So it never becomes a problem for the customer, because the customer, their life with you is an experience from before they even pick you up from the shelf. So if there's changes in our bags and our artwork and things like that, that has like the whole department, the marketing team and QC, they all look at it, but I also look at it as well. And I say, is this going to be confusing for the customer? Is this information that they're going to want to know? Is it going to make them want to pick us up if they've never seen us before? You know, what kind of products do we have out on the shelves? Like, what are we offering to customers? But since we are really focused on direct consumer, a lot of my time is spent on, okay, is our website easy to navigate? Do we have anything weird up there that might be confusing? When we send out the newsletters, I usually see those ahead of time. They're supposed to send them to me a day ahead of time. Sometimes it's hours. And I have to look at them really quickly and be like, okay, no, this all makes sense, because people do get confused and we have to have very clear language about some things. You know, if we're promoting one particular product, we have to be very clear about it's that particular product, because then I'll get 200 emails saying, well, what about this product? Or I tried to buy this and it didn't work. And so just clearing up all these things before, so the customer doesn't have to reach out, so that they have a really good experience. And then of course, dealing with things that are, you know, we have a lot of issues when it comes to packages being delivered right now. All carriers across the board are having a very difficult time. And so we're seeing a big increase in complaints about packages being delayed or not delivered. So those things you can't really do anything about ahead of time, but we can control how we react to them when they do happen. So that's what I focus on. So I get to bug all the other departments and tell them, hey, you guys should do this better, because it will make, you know, the end consumer happier and it will make your life easier. So I look for efficiencies and I look for long-term solutions for problems that haven't happened yet.
Interesting. Oh wait, Paul, you're on mute.
Okay, yes, Wendy, thank you for sharing this stuff with us about Mayorga. Where does the name come from? Do you know?
It's Martin's name. It's his last name.
Oh,
Yep.
Sounds very Latin American style brand. It's a great name, and we're drinking that coffee too.
Good.
Okay, you got fans here. But how are you going to get the chia here so quick?
Oh, did you say it's a chia?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the chia program's been established for a few years now. So we have that comes the same sort of way. It comes through ship. It comes in these big 50-pound sacks, and then we process that on Goody Drive as well. We have a pull machine that goes through, and it goes through this cleaning process. We use a NeoPure process, so chia is a really clean product to begin with. but we send it through the near pure process. So to get it, so it's at like 99% cleanliness, I guess. So anything that could be on it during the harvesting and transfer process is cleaned off, and then it's dried, and then it goes through the bagging and it ships out to the stores. It goes from there.
How about tour next week, Thursday?
Well, we're closed to the public right now. We that's why I'm actually working remotely, and that's why I had the pleasure of going home for a couple months, is because our offices are closed to the public and all non-essential staff. And since I don't roast coffee or package it, I'm not essential. So I'm working remotely right now. Yeah. But I definitely will definitely keep in touch. And as soon as we have, you know, as our restrictions are a little bit more stringent than the state and the county are. Like, you know, we closed to the public before the county did and before the state did, and back in the very beginning of the shutdowns and stuff back in, you know, 12 years ago, whenever the pandemic started. And we, you know, just because we asked staff, how are you guys feeling? What are your thoughts? And we just want to make sure that all of our, you know, our employees are comfortable and safe and happy. So it was, you know, kind of a company decision that, like, hey, you know, things are getting a little crazy out there again. So we're gonna make sure that, you know, we didn't have our cafe open. We were thinking of reopening it again this at the end of last year, but we just kept with our curbside market. But we've stopped the curbside market too at this point. So we're just focusing on our operations and making sure that everybody stays healthy and happy and making coffee.
That's great. Wendi, I think we're going to have to wrap it up here. But
yeah.
Thank you very much. We really are excited about your getting this award, and we hope we can have you back and have a chance to get into your shop and see some samples. And we want to publicize your mission and what it means. It's very helpful. So thank you so much.